Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a quorum. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And pursuant to Chapter 2, the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, the meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. Viewers can visit https //thelocalscene.media/Duxbury/ formerly PAC TV to watch a video replay of this meeting on Duxbury YouTube. All right. So thank you. We are now in session. We're getting pretty close to the show. Week and a half from tonight. We'll be at town meeting. Tonight's agenda, we have no, I think, announcements to make. We have no minutes to read. Are there any reserve fund transfers, Mary?
No, there are not this evening. Can we just double check test? Betsy, can you hear us okay?
Yes, and
Okay.
I don't have my phone on.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sorry. Everybody else?
It could very well have happened, so, but I don't.
That are still under consideration. The first of which we will review tonight is Article 24 in the annual town meeting. This is an article entitled, it's a citizen's petition to accept Checkerberry Hill as a public way. There are some people here tonight from the neighborhood that wish to be heard.
Good.
If you would, introduce yourself, as you're the only person who will be speaking, or all you?
No, our president, Matt McCarthy.
Is Matt out there on the internet land? Oh, there's Mr. Holman. So we have
He was
Seven.
under the weather tonight. See, if not,
I do have some folks who are joining us. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other
Matt
folks.
says he's on Zoom.
Do you, there is a Matt McCarthy, is he? Yep,
He'll go first, then I'll follow.
okay, give me one.
It's Matt McCarthy,
Yes, he's the.
Is he promoted?
president.
President HOA. Checkerberry, and it's the Checkerberry Hill Association.
That's correct.
Okay, there we are. Yep, he's right there.
There he is.
Matt, can
Hi,
you-
everyone. Good evening. So yeah, Matt McCarthy here. I'm the president of the Checkerberry
Yeah,
Hill.
turn up the volume a little, we can't quite hear you.
The volume is on my computer.
Oh, that's the best we're gonna get.
That is as high as it can go.
You want me to try the audio setting here?
Is this any better or?
Can you hear?
Yes, that is a little bit better, Matt, for
Okay.
me anyway.
Well, it's better for you on the internet apparently versus us here in the room, so we're trying to, give us a second, we're gonna try to get the volume up.
Sure, okay.
It's not going to go any higher. It's on my computer.
Yeah.
No, but if you shut your
Yeah.
volume.
Yeah, if you put the volume
That's
on
the
the TV.
Matt, just so that you know,
We
Bill
tried.
had,
Didn't work.
okay.
Okay, we're just going to have to work with this.
All
Yeah,
right.
you know what? Give
Jen,
me 2
speak up,
seconds.
Matt. We'll do the best we can to follow you.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to switch my audio to a
Yeah,
headset and that might make it better. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay, good. Thank you, Matt.
What's gonna happen?
He's switching his audio to another service so that we can hear him better.
Is this any better?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
much better.
Okay, there we go. You just have to look at me with a headset on. That's all.
If you don't mind, and just remember to speak up.
All right, yeah. So yeah, I appreciate you guys taking some time to hear this petition. Again, my name is Matt McCarthy. I'm the president of the Checkerberry Hill HOA. This neighborhood is a little over a year old now. And obviously it was originally built and turned over to the residents from the developer as a private community with private roads. And this petition is to try to petition the town to recognize our roads as public roads.
So
And
Matt, I'm
I'm new,
done.
so I apologize. I'm new to this whole presenting for a petition like this to a municipality. So would you like me to go ahead and present the case in terms of
Sure.
why
I
we're
would, your
presenting the
friend,
petition?
Betsy, either you or I, to set a little bit of the stage, we have already voted this particular article in the absence of having a presentation. One, we had heard that the planning board had voted in opposition to the article. Two, we heard from the DPW chief that she also was opposed to the article, feeling that she didn't have the information to justify that the road had met the typical town standards. That had
Okay.
not been true with her. That's what she said. The planning board, I think there was a timing issue. They claimed they weren't able to act in the 45 days that were required prior to town meeting, perhaps. And so we were, with that information, we voted in along with what the planning board had recommended. So you're now going to be presenting to town meeting. I think the issue of IPing this was discussed with you and you wish to go forward. So consequently, what we do need to hear from you is for you to state your case on why you think we should recommend it to town meeting. Betsy,
Sure.
does that make sense to you?
yeah, with one exception. I want to apologize as I have to Bill that we didn't have you all in when we were looking at it last week. My fault. I just got caught up in doing other things with all this craziness coming into town meeting, and that was not appropriate. So thank you for coming in this week. I also went to see the this is another piece of this is a 40B. So as a 40B, the planning board did not approve the subdivision. The ZBA did. So we have a planning board that really was not as did not know much about this subdivision because it had been turned over to the ZBA. And one of one of the petitioners is said that you had some detail from the ZBA meetings regarding whether it's the road is town approved or not.
Mm.
The thing that I discovered this week after I went to see Sheila again, the DPW director, is the town does not have an easement. The biggest problem is the drainage. There's a problem with plowing because you've got those really pretty seashells, which are going to get trashed every time the plow goes by. And if past performance is an indicator of future, then everybody in the neighborhood is going to call the town and say, "Why did you wreck my seashells?" And this one I didn't understand when she said she was concerned that we would be responsible for the cul-de-sacs, the islands in the middle. I don't think that's true. I don't think that that's what you're intending. But the biggest problem is you need an easement because all of the drainage for all of the houses for their driveways, they're smaller lots. It's a PUD, right? So when this is plowed, the snow's got to go somewhere, and and this drainage system is what takes the water from your subdivision and takes it away. That drainage system, if we took on the road, we would have to maintain that drainage system. And there's no easement for us to do that, so we can't. So I
Yeah,
really, really, I get where you're coming from. I don't know if you're going to persevere or not. Money is so tight. Taking on roads as town roads is just another cost to the DPW. So kind of makes them a little reticent. I know that you have some information from the ZBA that would gave you the impression that the road was going to be town approved. That would certainly be helpful if you presented that. But if you IP this, you can come back in June. And I'm not trying to talk you into anything,
yeah.
but you don't have to wait a year. There's a special town meeting in June, and you can then investigate the easement situation because we're not going to go onto your drainage or do anything with it without that easement. We can't legally.
Yeah, and I appreciate that explanation and the detail. And I'll be honest, up front, as I mentioned before, this whole presenting to municipalities is new to me. So some of the terminology is getting lost on me, the ZBA and some of
Zoning
that.
Board of Appeals versus Planning Board.
Got it. And I
So-
think Bill McBain, I believe, has some of the information on that in terms of what was originally planned and approved and so forth. However, what we do have is the concerns from the DPW, many of which you had just mentioned, Betsy. So from the official letter I actually just got today that I signed for from the town, talked about the easement piece, but it talked about it in a way that indicated that if this was approved, that it would be with the understanding that they would have easement access and they would be taking over ownership of the roads and so forth. So I was under the impression that should it move forward and should it get approved, those easements would be created as part of the approval, essentially.
I don't think that the town is looking to have a legal obligation and pay to have easements created for your neighborhood. I don't know
Okay.
that 100%, but it doesn't strike me as something that is
Okay.
I think that's why I'm saying do yourself a favor, indefinitely postpone this thing at town meeting and then give yourself some time. Hopefully we'll have a planner that can help you. I mean, the joke is the planning board has to weigh in on whether this is approved or not approved, and they never saw the subdivision. The ZBA did because it was a 40B.
Okay.
So that's a disconnect. But
Sure.
it's a disconnect that's by bylaw, so we really can't connect those dots again, other than to get information from your meetings with the Zoning Board of Appeals to substantiate what you believe to be true.
Okay. And I guess that does make sense. So I would ask, again, we're prepared to answer a lot of those concerns the DPW brought up, and I can present that today. But if there's a feeling that that's really not necessary and it's not going to help our cause, to make that case today until we can get in front of the ZBA or the planning board or whoever else we need to do, then we'll certainly do that. So you tell me, do you want me to address some of those concerns in terms of what we know?
That's whatever you're comfortable with. This is your moment, right? That you can
Yeah.
talk. But I'm just saying that without that easement, I can't speak for the rest of the board, but it would seem we can't really move forward with it without having the legal ability to do so.
Betsy,
Right.
I think Mr. McBain would like to jump in here.
Oh, good. Okay. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to stand if you want. If you want to stand, that's good.
I can't hear him at all, Mary.
you can't hear me? Can you hear me?
You're faint.
Yeah, you might have to get closer to Mary Bill.
You don't have some of those sweet earphones like your friend.
Portable mic. I think there are a couple things. I meant, it's very valid what you raised about indefinite postponement in that I think that, to put it mildly, I think there are going to be some challenges at the annual meeting. So, I think what we really want to do is our attempt is to try to get both the finance committee and the select board as comfortable and as knowledgeable as possible of what we know. And tonight, I'd like to give you some of that information. So then if we come back, when the warrant opens on April 28th for the June 16th special meeting, and we go for a citizen's petition, everyone has their ducks lined up and everyone feels comfortable about the process. That's how we're
Great.
going to approach. So the first thing I'd like to address is the January 27th planning board meeting. I happened to be at the town hall that day paying a bill, and I went by the bulletin board and it caught my eye that Duxbury was on there. We received no notification, and I'm not faulting the planning board. The planning board, it's my understanding, doesn't have a planner, that it's vacant. So I fully understand that. I went to the meeting and actually they raised the thing and they wanted to know about it. there was a discussion there that they were under a tight constraint and they had to vote that night. So I said to them, well, we submitted the application in December. And I assume you had plenty of time. All the records are with the town hall. And they're saying, no, we don't know anything about the road. So the members said, similarly, like the finance committee came, they said, we received an email from the DPW director with raising some concerns. They said, given that and not knowing anything, we're gonna vote it down. Now, during
So
the
here's a big disconnect that I think I'm hearing. Are you two operating under the assumption that you put in this request and that the planning board was going to research it for you? Because they're not.
No, I'm saying that this is how they predicated their decision. They said they had no information.
Because it had not been given to them other than the request.
Yes.
We didn't have anything either. Any information that you have from the ZBA, any information that you have that supports your claim that this was considered a town way and, so on and so forth, that needs to be collected and presented by you.
Yes, and
The
I have it
petitioner,
here
not
tonight.
no, we're not going to go find it.
No,
I mean,
no,
I've colored outside the lines a little bit by, going and seeing people, but I really I felt badly, yeah, Irish guilt, right? So I felt badly that we had jumped ahead and I wanted to make sure that we had whatever the fullness of information that you had presented.
yes, and I appreciate that. I appreciate tonight you folks listening to us, giving us an opportunity to speak. So that was the 27th on the meeting. They voted it down. Fast forward to tonight. Really, the issue comes down to is it's time for us to present some information. There are a couple of things that this whole development, the bid was won by Champion Builders roughly in the fall or the summer of 2019. On October 9th of 2019, the planning board had a meeting regarding this. And the planning board,
Planning board or ZBA?
the planning board,
Okay.
I'll get to the ZBA in a second. The ZBA asked the planning board to weigh in on it. And according to the minutes of the planning board on October 9th, 2019, they voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the plan to the ZBA. Now, the ZBA had 4 hearings. They had one on November 6th of 2019, December 19th of 2019, January 9th of 2020, and January 28th of 2020. And their decision came out on March 6th of 2020. At the January 28th, 2002 meeting, and I have copies of the minutes right here. And I also have a reference if you want to know exactly what page, what point.
What did they approve, Bill? Did they approve the subdivision?
They approved in the March 6th decision, they approved they granted the permit. But
For 40B,
The 40B permit, yeah.
which is different than the thing about a 40B that developers love and towns hate is that the 40B is exempt from many local ordinances.
yes,
and
but
bylaws.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay, good.
Yes, so at the January 28th, 2020 ZBA meeting, Scott Lombasi,
MBAC.
yes, he was the director of services at that time. He stated, the road was built to planning board standards.
Okay.
Also at the January 28th, 2020 ZBA meeting, Sally Wilson questioned why the road was so wide. Judith Barrett, who was the chairman at that time of the ZBA, asked Rick Grady of Grady Consultant. He stated the 22-foot specs was to stay in compliance with the rules and regs set out by the planning board standards, and that they would like to keep them as they hope to have the town accept this as a road. So basically the 22 feet, the snow that allows 20 feet. A ZBA, at the same meeting, a ZBA member, Freeman Bolton, stated
Point, yep,
the road meets the 20-foot road wide requirements of the Duxbury Fire Department. Then the question comes down to the whole discussion of was there any discussion related to, was this was going to be considered a public way? At the December 19th, 2019 ZBA hearing, Judith Barrett states, is, in quotes, is the expectation that this will be a public way. Rick Grady, a Grady consultant, responds, yes, and the minutes just say ... So I don't know what was after that. Also at the November 6th, 2019 meeting, it was noted that Matt Darcy and Judith Barrett discussed roadway being accepted as a public way. It also should be noted that the minutes of the hearings, all four hearings, in the March 6, 2020 decision by the ZBA does not note any comments or concerns by any of the members of the ZBA of Checkerberry and Sunflower being accepted as public ways. They had no concerns. They didn't raise any issues. And at least on 3 occasions in the minutes, it was discussed to be a public way. So to take a step back, the director of services at that time said it met the planning board standards as there. It met the fire department requirements of 20 feet. It also, there were 4 meetings and there were several discussions related to this being accepted as a public way. This is a 40B, and for the last 20 years, the town has tried to set a priority to have affordable housing. If you go out and you look at Checkerberry, it is probably the best.
oh, it's gorgeous. It's
uh,
beautiful. It's a beautiful subdivision. I went up there to look
It's
at
the
it.
way to do affordable housing. I have a market value house. To me, it's the impact, but we have 10 people, and some of them work for the town and some of them work within the town that are not in market value houses. And for them to continue without being a public way just adds another burden to them. I don't think that was the intent of the whole 40B concept in Duxbury.
No, I think that the biggest handicap that you have is the easement now.
Now,
Because you own, I looked it up on the registry, your association owns all of that land. And also, Sheila had said that because the driveways are somewhat close together, that there really isn't a place for the snow to go as they go around these cul-de-sacs and do the roads. They don't. Then it was suggested, well, maybe you could truck it out, and I have a feeling that they're not going to be hot to trot on trucking it out. So it's difficult. It's not without its warts.
Well,
So
I
the
guess,
road
yeah,
is-
and I guess what I would ask, I would respond to that with a question, which is, I've got to imagine there's plenty of circles, cul-de-sacs in Duxbury that are considered public roads, and the town's plowing those roads. And for the easement part, so going back to that letter I received today,
Yeah.
it specifically says if the town were to approve this, they would purchase the land that required the easement, or whatever that may be. So it alluded to that fact. But I guess my overall point is, how would we be any different knowing that our roads conform to bylaws for public roads? How would that be any different than any other currently plowed public cul-de-sac? in
I-
Duxbury.
And I have no
I-
idea, other than the fact that the houses are on smaller lots, so they're closer together, so there isn't as much room between the houses to push the snow away. It's that becomes an issue, but I don't know. I'm not I don't work for the DPW. All I know is from when I talked to these people, the easement was a huge concern. The fact that they would have to then vacuum out the drainage system on an annual basis without the proper equipment.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
one of that was
there's
one
a
of the
number of things on that.
Yeah, that the drainage was one of the DPW's points, but so we have a total of 6 drains, 5 of which are standard design, no concerns, one of which is considered a vortex configuration. I think
Right.
that's the one you're probably referring to.
Uh-huh.
And as part of our petition, it's our understanding the town doesn't have the specific pump system to clean that particular vortex drain out. We would be perfectly fine willing to own that as an HOA until such time the town owned that equipment. That would not be a problem for us. So that would be a concession we would make in the process for the storm drains. But 5 of the 6 drains are standard, typical drains that could be cleaned with your traditional, what's I guess is called the scoop method, essentially.
So,
The
yeah,
roads
but we
both-
go back to the easement. So I think that right now, the decision that we have to make is if you're willing to IP this until June. And if so, you need to have one of you from the association at town meeting to make that motion, because we cannot make it for you. It's a citizen petition, and so you're going to have to make that motion. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I think that's the better course of
Yeah.
action. That's totally up to you all to
And
decide.
that's a simple process of getting up and asking for an indefinite postponement.
So what I would do is I read the motion, right? The article comes up, Article 24. I read the motion, say hi to my husband, and
Another picture, Skip.
everybody say hi, Skip.
Hi, guys.
I read the motion, and you stand up and say, I'd like to make an amendment. We'd let the town moderator understand that this was coming. If this was what you desired to do, you would stand up and you would come to the microphone and say that would like, in light of certain documentation that we're still needing to supply, we'd like to indefinitely postpone this article. Somebody will second it. You can have somebody there to second it, but I'm sure somebody will, and then we vote it, and then you're done.
And that's the meeting next Thursday
On the 8th.
on the 8th.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
just trying to get you in there
Town
to
meeting.
vote for the override so we can buy the damn truck.
Right, right.
Well,
Right.
it was, Sheila said it was in the capital, but it keeps getting put off.
It's a $750,000
Truck, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big rig.
But I meant the roads, both Checkerberry, it's the same design. It's the same length, the diameter.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. It's just, it's a perfect storm. The ZBA approved it, the planning board didn't review it, the planning board has to approve it for the town meeting. Then all of a sudden we realize there's no easement. Yeah, so it's okay.
Now, just to
McLean's
clarify-
Way, I think, came back to town meeting 3 times, trying to straighten out everything.
Just a clarification, the town manager is here tonight in this room. And
Oh, Rainey, I didn't realize you were there. You tell them, I'll shut up.
Okay.
I'm Bill McBain, and that's Matt McCarthy, and we received the letter which you outlined that if this passes and everything, then we have to gift the land. I assume that gifting is the easement. So is that just a matter of having it recorded at the registry of deeds?
I'd have to check with the planning department to be specific, to be certain.
Okay, but
Are you folks aware that this is gonna be reviewed by the board on Monday night?
yes, we are. But what we want to do is we want to try to get both committees as comfortable as possible, because obviously if we go to the June 16th meeting, we would like favorable recommendations from both committees on that.
Yeah. I know that in the past, the select board has expressed concern with accepting roads that aren't built to spec or that had waivers as part of the approval. I give you that as
Yeah,
information.
but the minutes of the meeting, your director of services said that it was built to specs.
It requires an engineer certification to make that assertion.
You know, we can't just take your word or their word. That's why the process requires the planning board to go out and have those and make sure that the streets are measured and do meet the standards as prescribed. We just
So
can't
Bill,
take his word.
Bill, did you say, if I heard you correctly at the beginning of this meeting, you were speaking of comments from Grady. Aren't they a survey civil engineer firm?
Yes,
Were they the engineer of record?
they were, yes.
And they certified that it was built according to DPW specs.
I think you've got a sympathetic ear here.
Yeah.
So I think what you need to do is just,
Yeah, and we're
as
just,
Betsy has outlined, you gotta go through that, a couple more steps.
yeah, and we're
You
just
should be
trying,
there.
we just want to try to figure out what are the steps we need because
Sure.
obviously we don't want to get right at the 1 foot line
Mhm.
and then not get across.
Well, I think another big disconnect here is the developer usually does this for the neighborhood. If it's a standard subdivision.
Yeah.
The developer's package would come forward and be presented to the planning board at the end of the construction period. And it would take a normal course, but as Betsy has alluded to, it's been a disconnect where the planning board wasn't involved originally. And now they have to get involved with the final approval to accept it.
Yeah.
They don't have any of the additional information that they would have had in a typical development, so.
But I mean,
think
Yeah,
that
and
can be fixed.
yeah, but I meant,
and I would,
I wouldn't expect the director of municipal services to make a statement at the ZBA in the minutes saying that that it met the specifications.
Agreed.
If it didn't, so
Right, I understand.
I assume that there has to be some documentation at the town hall.
And has
where it's-
our office received that documentation, do you know? Meaning a letter from the engineer stamped, signed, saying. this
I
is-
don't know that.
So have you guys checked in with the municipal services department to see what's on file for this development?
There was someone that did it early on, but I don't know what she came back with. Do you know what Christine came back with, Matt?
no, no,
We
I
can
don't have
follow
that.
up on that.
I
We
don't
can
have that in
follow
front of
up.
me, but that's easy enough for us to do. And if we need to, we can just go back to Grady and get whatever documentation that they provided as well. But and to Bill's point, not to belabor the point, but we appreciate everybody's time and everybody's input. This is helpful for us. It's a brand new process to me. I don't know what the steps are. We were just kind of told, or at least it was my understanding, we were told, A, we need to get in front of the finance committee to make our case. B, we need to get in front of the select board to make our case. Then it goes to the town hall from there. So, we're just kind of following what we think we were told what the process is. And in terms of, the builder, champion builders, typically kind of dictating that. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And this is no finger pointing or blame or anything, but I'm sure the Dacey's just wanted the easiest path to get this development approved. And I'm sure they went with the easiest path, which was probably just keeping the roads as private roads. But now that it's in the hands of the residents in the neighborhood, obviously we want to try to convince the town.
Well, all new
yes.
subdivisions are private roads until they're accepted.
Right. Okay.
So he wasn't
Okay.
he wasn't
Got
not doing his job. That was what you do.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So anyway, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you guys.
So I think, no. I
And
think
again,
this
my
is great. So
apologies for
I
not having you in.
Yep. No, anything else to add, Bill, or I think we
No,
just move
I
on.
think that, I mean,
to the next step.
obviously, this was very helpful, but it was a kind of a curveball.
Yeah.
And it's
Sure.
it's no reflection on this committee, it's a reflection on our lack of knowledge of how to proceed.
Yeah, I think you've also been hurt by the fact that we don't have a planning director right now.
Yeah.
Which is it
Totally
would be
hurt by that.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
would be
yeah.
directing you, giving you the proper steps.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
absence of the director, you're trying to get to the planning board and asking them I don't know if Jim Wazlewski is the next person they should talk with in the Inspectional Services Department, because he might be able to put together a roadmap for you.
Exactly.
Steps you have to take,
Yeah.
so you don't waste time going to the top when you should be at the bottom.
We have that in our office. If you talk to Nancy.
And-
she has the
And I
whole-
apologize, who, what was the name?
Jim Wazlewski. Jim
Wazlewski.
Waz. Just call him Jim Waz. He's the head of, he took Scott Lambiase's. We like to have heads of the municipal services that have last names that are completely
That nobody
unpronounceable.
can pronounce, yeah.
Exactly right.
Town
It's
manager
kind of
has
a
just
covert thing.
recommended you start with Nancy O'Connor in the select board's office.
They have a
She
checklist.
has all the information as far as what is needed in an order, and that's where that would be the place to start.
That'll
Okay,
be
yeah,
good.
Bill has been in touch with Nancy. I actually provided her with our official letter and responses to the DPW concerns about 5 days ago. So she has that letter, but so it sounds like that's the next step. We'll get in touch with these individuals, make sure we fully understand exactly what documentation we're going to need to present and when, essentially.
How should we proceed as far as Monday night? Come to the meeting and.
Yeah, definitely come to the meeting.
Okay,
If you have the letter, the engineer's letter certifying that the road was built according to spec, make sure you bring copies of that. If you can do it before Monday, if you can email it to either myself or
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah.
Because we put our packet together for the board tomorrow.
Yeah.
It goes out by 11.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can do it before then, but if not, at least do it during the day on Monday and we can push it out to the board during the day. If there are associated plans, let us know. I'm not guaranteeing that they're gonna still be in favor of it at this time.
no, but I think what we want to do is we want to get in front of them. It's part of the process to get comfortable. I think what we're looking at now is the June 16th meeting.
Yeah.
But obviously, we want to try to tighten up as much as we can prior to that.
Right.
Chuck had a question?
I was just really wanting to make sure that you understood what happens if you don't do that
Ye-
IP.
I do.
There's a much longer wait, right?
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm aware of that.
That's why it was suggested.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming
Well,
in.
no,
We
we
appreciate
want to
your
thank
patience.
you.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate your time and the insight, for sure.
You've all been very helpful.
Good.
Great.
Good
Well,
luck.
Yeah.
take care. We'll see you at
All right,
town
thank you.
meeting.
I was
Bring
gonna
those
thank you,
votes.
computer.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys.
Need that a little bit longer.
So moving along.
Good job. I said to her that
Mary, are you gone?
No, I'm right here.
We're gonna continue with our meeting.
I can't hear you anymore.
Okay, just a moment, Betsy.
The next,
Yeah.
next item on our agenda is we want to revisit the capital budget.
Thank you, guys.
Article 6. There were two items, on the, I don't recall whether we didn't vote these at all.
So you did, you voted all of the items.
So
Let
now
me,
we
let
wanna-
me walk through the
We
two
want to
changes.
reopen the article and then revote those two lines.
Let me
Okay,
correct.
go ahead, Mary.
So on the article, there were two items that you did not vote because the school department made a request of the fiscal advisory committee to reconsider two line items that were in Article 6. So Finance Committee has voted all lines of Article 6 with the exception, with the exception of lines 9 and 10. Line 9 was district-wide technology and line 10 was the Chandler loading dock. So the Chandler loading dock was initially appropriated, the request was for $100,000 to do some repairs to the loading dock. Excuse me, and district technology was $80,388 for their initial request. Since the time that we began this process, the school department has performed a different style fix on the Chandler loading dock, which has proved to be successful. Although it is not a permanent fix, it's a temporary fix, but they believe that they will be able to not have to worry about the Chandler loading dock for at least another year, and that they'll bring it back in a future capital cycle. So the Chandler loading dock, line number 10 for $100,000 is going to be removed from Article 6. And Article 9, which is district-wide technology, what they have requested to do is take $25,000 from the $100,000 allocation for Chandler, move 25,000 into district-wide technology. So the new amount for district-wide technology would be $105,388.
And what is that buying? The district technology? Is it software? Is it hardware? Is it?
So they've presented, I don't have all of the details for you, Kathleen. When the school department was here and went through all of their capital items with this committee, they went through all of the details of
I
that.
don't have that. I don't have their
Yeah, I don't have
budget
that
with me tonight.
either.
Um,
I can look it up.
but Alex and the fiscal advisory committee has reviewed it and
Have
voted in
approved it?
favor.
They have voted in favor of
In
that,
favor?
correct.
And I think this is part of the ongoing.
There will,
Funding.
district-wide technology will always be a capital item, and especially now that we have a new CTO who is reviewing the entire, excuse me, the entire infrastructure. I anticipate that we will see that as a reoccurring item.
I think this is the curriculum piece.
No, this is not
No,
curriculum.
That curriculum?
that's.
Curriculum
they
is a
got that
separate.
Capital,
Okay,
and they only did one of the two that they requested.
okay.
K through 12 and K through 6. What I would do then is entertain a motion to reopen Article 6 for a secondary vote. Can I hear a motion to reopen Article 6?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
So let's see, just I'll make a note here that Kathleen moved. And Chuck seconded, just so we can tell Linda. So we've reopened Article 6, and what I will do is entertain a motion to
We didn't vote that for, we didn't vote it for.
oh, we have to vote that to reopen, correct. All those in favor? Yep, roll call.
Yeah.
Chuck, I.
Kathleen, I.
Friend, I.
Betsy, I.
Is Al still out there?
Yep.
I think he is.
Sean still out there?
Yep. they're right here.
Okay, so it's unanimous 7-0. So it is now reopened and on the floor for discussion. We've heard the explanation. Does anybody have any further questions about the two line items being discussed?
75,000 go?
Nowhere.
To free cash? Nowhere.
Nowhere. Free cash limitation.
So therefore.
I just hope we don't.
Motion to change the Chandler loading dock capital request of 100,000 to 0, and to increase line 9 district technology from 80,388 to 105,388.
So moved.
Second.
In a second. Okay, 2 again. Now, are there any further discussion? Not appearing. We'll take a roll call vote.
Chuck, I.
Friend, I.
Kathleen, I.
Nat, I.
Betsy, I.
Sean, I.
Al, I.
Unanimous.
Do you have any other warrant articles? That was it. Okay, great.
So there's only one last item on the agenda. We had discussed at our last meeting the possibility of sending a letter to the editor of the Clipper on behalf of the Finance Committee in support of Articles 5A and 5B. A draft has been circulated. I have a revised version in front of you. There are two, after feedback back from all of the 9 members. Everything you see in the draft that was sent to you tonight in black is just the same as it was before. The 2 changes are at the end of paragraph 3. It was suggested that a second example of the override impact be included. So in parens, I've added, put another way, the impact on the average assessed valued single family home in Duxbury of $1,242,100 would result in a tax increase of $994.
Estimated.
And while we were here, it was suggested that we add the word an estimated tax increase of $994. So an additional change, instead of it just saying a tax increase, it would say an estimated tax increase. And the second change was in the fourth and final paragraph, halfway through. The sentence ended with the phrase, but we also recognize the fact that this is long overdue. And it was felt that that's sort of an opinion that may not be shared by all, so that would be stricken from the letter. So it just ends with the period after significant tax increase. So those are the.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought you were
Yes,
done.
Chuck?
I thought of something else after reading something in the flipper. And it's something you had said earlier, and it was, could we do something in maybe that first paragraph? Where everything's very factual in this thing, but if we said something that, when we take our responsibilities seriously, but we also do it to provide the services that the citizens of the town expect. And that's, they, in a community that they elect to live in, or want to live in, I should say. So I don't know exactly how to word that, but if it's, it's easy to say you can come up with a budget and just get rid of everything, and, you can do that, but who wants to live in a community like that?
So are you trying to interject that we are a reflection of
Of the community.
community
Right.
in our representation
Mhm.
in the finance committee?
That's a better way of saying it, yes.
I'm just trying to think of where we could maybe in the I don't know about the closing paragraph.
Well, I like, you said we represent a cross section of Duxbury, and such action affects us just like any other citizens. And it's kind of in that area, I think, that you could say that we were,
Yeah.
it's a reflection of that. We want to provide the services that the community expects and wants to live in.
So we take our responsibilities.
I think right before that sentence, I think, let me just mull it over for 30 seconds here. That our actions affect us. I'm gonna sort of read so I can seem like the sentence is continuing. We represent a cross section of Duxbury, and as such, our actions affect us like any other citizen of Duxbury. Well, I don't want to, I'm just gonna.
How about adding, take our action seriously, including to continue continue the culture, or, something of that, just including, and then add what Chuck has said. Because I think, Chuck, are you trying to get it so that they understand that you want this, you're trying to make a decision based on what you feel people want the town to be? Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. I mean, we elect to live here. People elect to live here. They elect not to, have, businesses in the community. They don't want the MBTA. There's a lot of things that they don't want changed. So if they want to continue to be like this, then these are some of the things that we have to be reflected.
Right. So
Really good
including,
obviously, but
including a reflection of the
How does this sound?
what?
Like our fellow citizens, we want to continue to provide services that we have come to expect in Duxbury.
Yeah.
Does that work?
in the community we want to live in.
I
Like-
think he's getting more to culture, that we have to,
provide
that we
services.
want to, that we want to maintain the services to, yes, but also the culture. I mean,
Yeah, I know, it's a little deeper than
I
that.
know, it's hard.
I don't feel the same about, because I think that the representation of the, wishes of the citizenry really is at the voting booth
Mhm.
and at the select board. I think we were very conscientious about taking into account the, financial impact on what
these expenditures are based on the revenue that we bring in. I wouldn't say that I'm always in agreement with the other citizenries about certain decisions the majority may make, right? I may have a different opinion personally, but I'm always going to look at the situation, whether it's an article or an expenditure, based on what we can afford, right, with the revenue and the allocations and decisions we make for instance, public safety or education or other things. So again, I understand where you're coming from, Chuck, but I don't know that I would say that I'm voting for the budget based on a cultural influence, although that to me is more of a ballot box issue at the select board.
I think if we stick to the basic letter.
Yeah, that's fine. It just came to me this morning. I
Yeah,
read that.
no, I
But
understand.
thank you for your input, and I
Yeah, I
No,
I
understand.
think trying to craft something that would keep everybody on the same page would be difficult.
Yeah.
And I think
Friend,
with the basic letter we've got, we're in good shape.
the third paragraph, and I agree with what you're saying, but I don't know if it's going to come across to people that aren't us. It says we restore 565 in costs associated with unemployment. I think maybe to clarify that, you know, passing 5B will remove 565 in costs.
I think that was a change you made, Betsy.
I know. Well,
565 is not the correct number.
What's the number?
550.
well, there's that too. So,
We just fixed that. It's not off that much.
but we restore, I want to make sure that we get it in there, but I don't know if any people will understand what that means.
Approximately.
So instead of saying we restore, can we use just one other word that other than restore? Recover. I think that was the original word.
Yeah,
But I used the word, I think, offset. The increase for the town was $1 million, but it was offset by. So in changing it, the two together equaled $1 million.
I
right.
think Dave is just keep it simple.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Like if we saved 550,000, let's say we saved 550,000.
Right.
Put a bow on it.
Al or Sean, do you have a comment? Are we good?
None additional to what's been shared.
What do you say?
Not additional.
Yeah.
Nothing
fine.
additional to what's been shared.
Okay, thanks. Al?
I think you're trying to reason this out as logically as possible, and this is a tough one.
Sorry, I
Hang
can't.
on.
I can't hear you, Al.
Please.
Is that better?
He said it's tough. Maybe I can hear him better because I'm off site, but he said that this is a tough one to figure out. And
Is he struggling with the letter?
No,
no, just the
not
words.
at all.
No. You could just say
But-
you could reinstate instead of restore. I don't know.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
make sure that they
Dave, just
understand we're
put save,
saving.
Betsy.
How about save?
Yeah, we're saving
Yeah.
$550,000.
That works well, and thank you, Betsy.
Save.
Thank you.
So having said that, are we all in agreement that we can submit this letter to the Clipper? I have till 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Mary, would you
Yes,
like to do a little
sorry.
proofing? Make sure I haven't overstated or understated. I tried to round off the numbers.
Just say we
Yeah, no, it's fine.
No,
Is everybody
saved
comfortable that we're going to list our names?
Yes.
550,000 in costs associated with unemployment compensation.
Okay, but you understand that that $550,000 of savings that we would not incur for unemployment costs is the funding that is being used for the additional position.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It
It's
all
not-
goes into the kitty. Well, that makes the math work, because if you didn't subtract the 550, you were well over the 580, you were 600 and something. So that's why you had to show that netting out. I had originally used the word net of.
That's why I wanted to see it, because I just want to make sure that we're not saying that that's going to be a
No.
reduction in the budget.
No,
That is the
no.
funding source for
Right.
it.
Right,
Yes.
That's our intent.
Yes, that's the funding source, not the.
Perfect. You know me, I am logistical.
Appreciate that. We appreciate
Very
that.
technical. You
Yes.
Love it.
speak it
Love
correctly.
All right, on that note, I don't think we have anything else to discuss tonight. Is there anything else that Rainey?
Yeah, friend, I'd like to make a
Al's
comment.
speaking.
I would like to make a comment on this. Couple of things. One, it's very important to stand up for what you believe in. Two, what we have done is to stand up and back up what we have done since you folks, and Betsy especially, have done on this new committee for the town. And I think it's extremely important for people in the town that get their access to the Clipper, and many and most do, to understand that we have signed this letter as an affirmation of what we have done in our professional and civic roles and what we believe. And I think this is especially important in this time. Thanks.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al.
On that note, anything else, anybody tonight?
Motion to adjourn.
No more meetings until.
Well, that's a good
Oh.
question. We have nothing scheduled for next Tuesday. We are scheduled for next Thursday, but only if we need to meet.
And if not,
We'll let you know,
Yeah, we'll
but
keep
I
you
don't see
posted if
any
something
reason
comes
for
up
it
that we
unless
have
hell
to
breaks
revote.
loose.
But otherwise, and we will post an hour before town meeting, so that we'll have a meeting scheduled at 8 AM. Right, Betsy? 8
Yep.
AM?
I will bring the
On the
coffee
day
and
of the
donuts,
meeting.
as is my custom.
So there is
Betsy, I
definitely
have a
nothing on
question.
Tuesday, but maybe Thursday. Al?
So, friend, I have a question. Betsy,
You don't want
do
donuts?
we have to wear a tie?
You know,
Is
it's
that
my
such-
preference. I think if you're
Oh,
going to
that
go
is
to
such a
town meeting
pain
and
in
you're
the
asking
butt.
the community for $100 million, you
man.
might want to puff up.
Yeah, but you know what? That's such an our generation thing. Nobody under 50 does that anymore.
Sean, are
You're
you
not under 50,
uncomfortable?
Al.
Oh, Sean,
I'm not uncomfortable at all. I just think Al's calling me out for not wearing a tie to the special in November.
I think he definitely
You know
is.
what?
I think that was definitely a whack.
I am calling Sean out for sure, absolutely. But also, if Sean agrees, hey, no problem, I'll do it.
Good choice, Al.
Sounds like we're unanimous.
All right.
Thank you, Al.
Some good
So-
natured ribbing there.
There is a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Roll
Second.
call, all in favor, aye.
Bye.
Kathleen, I.
No, no.
Sean,
Al,
aye.
aye. Sean,
Al,
aye.
aye.
Al, aye. Thank you,